Have you heard of Alligator, Alcatraz, which is in Florida? It's a place where they're going to house the migrants. And if you haven't seen it, let me show you a quick clip of what it looks like inside of there. Now, this has a correlation. The reason why, stay with me on this message, because this is a message to the evangelical community out there. This has a correlation between back when the children was used as alligators, slave children and black little babies and kids were used as alligator bait. For some of you that know your history and some of you that may not know the history within the black era that's constantly being swept under the rug, and other histories of people throughout the nation. And let's look at this real quick so you can see where we're going.
To some viewers, many unfortunate events happened to black men and women during the slave trade era. One of them was the use of their children as bait to catch alligators. Alligator bait, also known as gator bait, was said to have been practiced in the swamps of Florida and Louisiana during the 1800s and 1900s. Pictures, trinkets, and postcards were also sold to commemorate this dark, evil practice. Jim Crow Museum of Racist Memorabilia is often cited as a source of documentation because it contains artifacts and some other pieces of evidence of this gory act. Indeed, there is sufficient documentation to show that during the slave trade era, black babies were used as alligator bait. To buttress further claims that such a horrendous incident ever happened, there are different newspaper articles that have given credence to the actual occurrence of such dreadful act.
So as you see, this happened, and it happened in Florida many decades ago, that they used this as bait, but people of color. And why would you name, a center that's going to house migrants and who knows what else goes on inside of there? But what the problem is, I see is where people are laughing and making a mockery of this, and including the evangelical community. And it makes me sick. It makes me angry. And just like where the black babies and children were being used as bait, and you had postcards and everyone was having fun with it. They're having fun with this, with these folks that have come over here, many of them trying to escape, and things. And I understand that we have laws, that you should follow the law, as people say, and but there is such a thing here in the United States, the Bill of Rights, that talk about the Eighth Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment. And if we had let's say a prison of El Salvador here within the United States, it would be an uproar, and we wouldn't allow that to happen. But for some reason, we think it's funny as Christians, evangelicals, to make a mockery of people that are poor, people that's the stranger that is coming to the land. And we think that that's funny and things. And these leaders, the Franklin Grahams and all of them that have stood by this junk from the beginning, and many YouTube preachers, YouTube self-appointed prophets, YouTube Christians that stand by this junk. You've got spiritual, as I made a message many years ago, spiritual blood on your hands, because the mistreatment of these types of people, these people that God, you don't know how he might have used some of you to get the gospel to that person, to show compassion and show your version of the Christianity and what Christ has done to you in your life. And it's just awful, shameful, and disgusting that churches, the major leaders, are silent. And even within this White House, there's supposed to be a faith office Well, we know the head, Paula White, is a false teacher, so that's a whole nother story. But you have other people that's part of this, and everybody's silent. They don't say anything. Why is that? Why would you be silent with some of these people, the way that they're just doing them, cruel and unusual punishment in many cases, instead of this, there's a way to go about it. You don't have to beat somebody over the head. And we already, many of us we know you got this profiling going on. So if you're a Latino, you're Middle Eastern and things. I mean, it's a shame because I was talking with family and friends. I said, hey, I know that as within the black community, we've had over the decades, we've had to deal with profiling and all of that. I've been pulled over several times for nothing, falsely accused for something. Once upon a time that a store happened to get robbed, and I just so happened to have on some red and white Nikes, and supposedly the person that robbed the store had on red tennis shoes. And I get 5 sheriffs surrounding me with guns drawn, and this total, it was always something. And you always have to be conscious of this. But I was talking to the family. We're just talking about, you know what? This is the one time when you don't have to be worried about, as a black person, as far as being pulled over by ICE or cutting grass and worried about getting slammed to the face first into the concrete when you're out there, working in the field, in a yard somewhere or a shopping center doing work. Or being dragged out of things like that. It's troublesome because, nobody, if you are a Christian, and you may be watching this video, you may not be a Christian, and you still have a heart of compassion and things, and maybe you don't care from what I see with some of the hateful comments coming from evangelicals, coming from people that, get out of here. They're talking crazy type stuff. But this should not be coming out of the mouth, out of an evangelical, somebody that calls themselves a Christian. It shouldn't be happening. And the silence says a lot too. Because if you're silent and you are a leader and you have kept your mouth shut, if you are a pastor and you stood by this type of stuff with this administration and has kept your mouth shut, you know what? You just as guilty. And you know what? God is not going to bless you and your platform and what you're doing, because guess what? There's going to be hell to pay when it's all said and done for the mistreatment of those that are the less fortunate, those that are poor, those that are out here that within society that people have shamed and looked down upon. Oh, you're playing with fire when you mistreat the little ones. You're playing with fire when you set up and your self-righteousness has taken a whole new platform to where you are mocking and laughing at people being just thrown away and even sent away. Some of them, if you're going to send them away, send them back to their country. But you talk about sending people off to places where they may not speak the language. And you get these folks, and this I'm speaking hardcore to evangelicals, because the world, many of them, they shouldn't have came and this or that. But as an evangelical, you shouldn't have that type of attitude. There should be some place within your heart. These evangelicals and these people, that this movement that's going on right now, look at this. They're even selling t-shirts, making a mockery of the alligators, making a mockery of somebody tries to escape and will get eaten by an alligator, bitten by a snake. They think it's funny. And it just goes back to the people of color, my ancestors, people back when they had to worry about with their kids being used as bait for alligators. It's just so happened. It's the people of color, unfortunately, that are feeling the wrath of all of this hate. And it's a shame. It's one thing to get hate from those that are indoctrinated with this hate, that have grew up in their family, hate that's still brewing in many parts within the nation. But it's a different form of hate when it's coming from the church. And the church is got as I've been talking about, the hate is rampant within the church community, rampant everywhere. And the church is in free fall. And the Lord will straighten it out. And he's going to start with straightening up some of these people that think it's funny. Oh, that's a dangerous thing. I say it as an old saying that, and I've said it before, my aunt used to always say as we was growing up, talking about making fun of others, talking about, looking at the relishing in the downfall of others and everything that's going on. She used to say, and many of you may know this old saying, God doesn't like ugly. And what that means is God is not pleased when he doesn't like it when you sit up there and kicking somebody when they're down or making fun of them or trying to make a fool out of someone else. Oh, that's a dangerous place to be. I don't want to be guilty of that. I want to be able to do what little part I can. There's a lot of harvest out there. There's a lot of souls out there that need still Christ and to be delivered. But unfortunately, these types of people that are spreading the hate and think it's funny that a migrant can get eaten by an alligator, think it's funny that a migrant can be bitten by a snake, think it's funny that they're just getting mistreated and because they decided to get away from where they were coming from and things. And as we said, we understand that part. But you have to be able to you should not be in a mindset of hatred, bitterness, and thinking it's funny that somebody is just being totally disregarded as far as and mistreated and the Bill of Rights and everything that we talked about being violated. What a shame. These evangelicals have done more damage within the Christendom than ever before. And it's only getting worse. It's getting worse. And you think that you could sit there and march around the city, do little events and talk about worldwide revival with these lies and all of these things are going to happen. Man, don't nobody want no part of your funky revival. Who wants your revival that you're talking about? Who wants to be part of your parade? You're walking around with Jesus loves flags and all of that. But at the same time, you're turning around and showing your true colors by mistreating others. So that, you think somebody's going to come and join in with you and be part of what you're doing where you think that you're glorifying Christ? It doesn't work like that. You're not glorifying Christ. You're shaming his name. And on this channel, we're going to continue to shame the devil and punch him right between the chops. Evangelism for God is a channel where we talk about issues the church went away from. Until the next video, my name is Maurice Braxton. Take care. God bless.